So find yourself a comfy seated position. So you might take a folded blanket and sit on the edge of your sit bones here just to elevate the hips. You can even sit on a block. Just allow the breath to get in a little bit deeper. Place the hands maybe on the knees or anywhere on the body. Allow the eyes to close. Feel the sit bones weigh heavy down towards the mat. Allow the shoulders to soften down away from the ears. Feel length through the spine, sitting nice and tall in our seat. And then bring your awareness to your breath as you inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. And just notice the sensation of breathing. Maybe notice the quality of the breath. Maybe it's a bit smooth or rough. Just notice, not having to do anything about it. Bringing your awareness to that breath. And with your next inhale, see if you can allow that breath to deepen down into the bottom of the lungs, maybe expanding the belly. And as you exhale, exhaling nice and slowly, drawing the belly button in towards the spine, squeezing every last bit of breath out of the bottom of the lungs. And seeing if we can continue with that nice, deep breath. And whenever we find the mind wandering throughout the practice, we can bring it back to our breath. And when you're ready, we can slowly blink the eyes open. And if you have a block or blanket underneath the sit bones, just remove it and place it to the side. Allow the hands to come onto the knees if they're not there already. As you inhale, let's take the heart forward. As you exhale, round through the back. So we're just moving into some spinal circles to warm up our spine. Moving through the hips and the shoulders. You can make these nice and big. And moving in the opposite direction. And coming back to our neutral spine. We'll move into tabletop pose. So taking the legs out underneath the body, spread the fingers out nice and wide, making sure the shoulders are above the wrists or slightly behind. Knees are hip width apart underneath the hips. You can have the toes uncurled or not. Find what feels good in your knees. Just gently hug that low belly in here to support the low back, feeling nice and strong in your tabletop pose. So let's move into a cat and cow breath. So as we inhale, the belly dips down, the tailbone tilts up. We press the earth away with the hands. We look up. As we exhale, hug the belly button in. Look towards the toes. Continue to press the earth away with the hands. Really round the back. So we inhale, belly dips, tailbone tilts. We exhale, hug the belly button in, tailbone tucks. Allow the breath to move the body back and forth through our cat and cow posture. Following the breath in and following the breath out. And with your next inhaling breath, we will come back to our neutral tabletop position and move into our first down dog. So you might take the hands out a little bit further in front, making sure to keep those fingers spread out nice and wide, keeping the weight shifted into where the peace fingers and the thumbs meet. So not taking the weight into the base of the hands, but more into the finger pads. So slightly press the heart back towards the feet. Feet are about hip width apart. And then we can walk the dog here a little bit. So we bend one knee and we straighten the other leg. And then we do the opposite. Just pedaling the feet back and forth, nice and slowly. Warming up the back of the legs. And then with your next inhale, so bring that down dog back to its neutral position. And then with your next inhale, step the right foot up to the right hand. If it doesn't quite make it there, a lot of times it might make it here or here. We're going to use this right hand to help it up there. So what we're looking for is that this knee is on top of the ankle. We don't want this ankle behind the knee. So even if you have to scoot your toes up or use that right hand to help that foot so that that ankle is under the knee. So you want to really support that structure there. That back left foot, you want to really reach back with that left heel. So lots of muscle energy in that left leg, and then come up onto the right thigh. So we're finding high lunge. So feel like the hips are square, shoulders are square with the front of your mat. Really spread those right toes out. And if you're feeling a little wobbly, walk that left foot out a little bit wider so that your foot base is a little bit wider for more balance. If it's available, inhale, float those arms up alongside the ears for your high lunge. Keep the shoulders soft, fingertips light. With your next inhale, find goddess arms. So bring those arms into 90 degrees. The elbows draw back a bit. We lift the heart. The gaze might even look up. Breathe into the openness in the chest. And then finding our arrowhead pose, or actually, taking the arms back. So usually arrowhead, the arms are forward, but with this, we want to take them back into kind of airplane arms. So palms are facing down towards the floor. We're hovering the ribs over the thigh. Inhale, bring it back up. Lengthen through the hands. And then finding a twist. So this right arm is going to gently come back, find the inside or towards the inside of that back thigh. Look over your right shoulder. Those left fingertips are reaching up and overhead. An inhale floats us back to center, keeping our balance. As you exhale, the hands can come down to the earth. We're going to step this right foot back to plank. Take the knees down for extra support. Hug the elbows in and then lower the chest all the way down to the earth. Uncurl the toes. Inhale, lift the heart. So lots of space between the shoulders and the ears in our cobra. And then tuck the toes. Press yourself up and then back into down dog. Allow the heels to ground down towards the earth so they don't have to reach the floor. They're just going in that direction. With an inhale, float this left foot up to the left hand. If it doesn't reach, you're going to use your left hand to get it up there. So once again, we want to make sure that that knee is stacked on top of the ankle. You don't want this. That will hurt your knee. So scooch it up so that that ankle is below the knee joint. Then you want lots of muscle energy in that right leg. So reach back through that right heel. So keeping that right leg nice and strong and straight. Come up onto the left thigh. So if you're feeling that wobble going on here and you need a little more balance, walk that right foot out a bit wider. Keep the hips and the shoulders square with the front of your mat, and then lift and lengthen through the arms. Breathe here. With your next inhale, find those goddess arms. So we come into 90-degree or goalpost arms. The elbows draw back. Lift through the heart. And then finding arrowhead with the arms floating back alongside the body. So the crown of the head is drawing to the front. So we get nice and long. And then an inhale floats the arms back up into our high lunge. This left hand now is going to float back so that we find maybe the inside of that back leg. Look over the left shoulder if that's available. Right fingertips are floating up and slightly overhead. And inhale floats the arms back to center. Exhale, the hands come to the earth. Step that left leg back. Take the knees down. Hug the elbows in, come all the way down. Uncurl the toes. Inhale, lift the heart into cobra. Exhale, we lower down, tuck the toes, press up and back into down dog. Find your breath in down dog. If you have to take a child's pose, that's quite all right too. Take that child's pose. Just as long as you're taking that moment to connect back with the breath. Then with an inhale, step the right foot up to the right hand and come into that high lunge. So we're going to move through this a little bit quicker now that we know what we're doing a little bit more. So keeping everything square with the front of the room as you inhale, or with the front of your mat, as you inhale, draw into your goddess arms. So elbows draw back, open the heart, and then bring it into your arrowhead. So palms facing down to the earth. Keep that left heel drawing back. Inhale floats us back up. Find that twist so that right hand finds the inside of the thigh. And we don't have to reach there, but we're going in that direction. See if you can look over that right shoulder. Inhale takes us back to center. Exhale, hands to the earth. You can step back, come right into down dog and stay there, or find your float here. So we flow on down to the earth. We inhale into our cobra, and then exhale, downward facing dog. So we have one more side. With an inhale, float the left foot up to the left hand, and then come on up into high lunge on this side. With your next inhale, find those goddess arms, lift through the heart, and then bring it into your arrowhead. So lengthening the crown to the front. And then inhale floats us back up. Find your twist. So left hand finds the inside of the back thigh. Right arm lifts up and over. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step back to down dog or find that vinyasa. So we float down as we exhale, we inhale into cobra. Tuck the toes and down dog. Breathe here. Bring your awareness back to your breath. With your next inhale, walk the feet up to the hands. And then exhale, fold over the legs. With an inhale, press into the feet and sweep the arms all the way up overhead. As you exhale, hands can come to heart. So just take a look at the feet. They should be about hip width apart. Spread the toes out nice and wide. Bring the arms so that the palms are facing behind you. You can spread the fingers out nice and wide. Allow that breath to soften the body. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears. With an inhale, float the arms halfway up so that they're shoulder height. As you exhale, turn the palms up and slowly let them melt down beside the body. So we inhale, float the arms up to shoulder height. Exhale, allow them to float down beside the body. So allow the breath to lift them up with the inhale and float them down with the exhale. And now we'll incorporate the feet. So as you inhale, come up onto the balls of the feet. As you exhale, float the heels back down. So we inhale, lift. Exhale, we lower. So nice and slowly. We'll do one more of those. And now let's come into a balancing posture. We'll find dancer pose. So shift all your weight over to your left leg. Really spread those left toes out. And then we can take the left hand onto the belly. So you can keep it here. This just allows for extra balance. We'll bend the right leg and see if you can scoop the right foot into that right hand. If this is just not possible, find a wall for that left arm to kind of balance against. You can even have the wall in front of you or beside you. Just find some support or a chair where you can have that extra support. So drawing the right foot in towards the bum, allow the shoulders to drop down. You can stay here, maybe that left arm lifts. If you want to take it a bit further, we're going to float that arm forward as that leg lifts back. Continue to press the foot into the hand as the hand is drawing the foot in. Continue to breathe. Sometimes we forget to breathe in these balancing poses. And then if you're forward, just gently float back up, release the leg, and then just kind of wiggle the feet out, wiggle the legs out from side to side, and we'll get the other side. So really spread your right toes out now and shift all your weight over to that right leg. And then you can place the right hand on the belly for extra support. That left foot can come into the left hand. Once more, we can find a chair or a wall to help with the balance. Finding a focal point also on the earth, on the floor, helps with the balance. So you can focus on that if that helps. And if it's available, the right arm might lift up. Continue to bring awareness to your breath as you float that arm forward and the leg back. And if we gently fall out of our dancer pose, we can just bring ourselves back into it. We don't have to judge ourselves, have lots of compassion in balancing postures. And then we can slowly float back to our neutral stance. Just wiggle out the legs again. And then taking the hands to the heart. Inhale, sweep the arms up. As you exhale, forward fold. And inhale comes into a half lift. Float up halfway. Exhale, we fold. We'll do that 2 more times. So as we inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, we fold. 1 more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. This time we can plant the hands on the earth. Step the feet back. Come into plank pose if this allows. If it's a bit too much for the wrists or any part of the body, bring the knees down for extra support. Otherwise, see if you can hold that plank just for a couple cycles of breath. And we'll hug the elbows in and lower all the way down. Uncurl the toes. Keep the hands so that they are under the shoulders or just kind of behind and under the shoulders. The elbows are going to draw in close to the body. We'll come into a baby cobra where we don't put any weight into the hands. So as you inhale, lift the heart. See if you can even lift the hands here so that they're hovering over the earth. So we know there's no support coming from the hands. Keep the shoulders back and down away from the ears. As you exhale, we can fold down. We can rest the forehead on the hands if that allows. And then we will come into a full cobra. So placing the hands underneath the shoulders again, slightly down. Elbows hug in. Lots of space between those shoulders and ears. And then inhale, we can really press into the hands a bit more as we lift the heart up and out of our cobra. And then exhale, lower on down, tuck the toes, pressing up and come into a child's pose. So take the knees nice and wide, big toes together. Forehead can come down onto the hands or right onto the earth. We can always find a block if we need it for the forehead. And just find your breath here in this child's pose. With an inhale, we're going to slowly come up, placing the hands onto the earth. Take the legs out in front of the body and come right into butterfly pose. So the soles of the feet come together. We can rock a little bit on the sit bones just to find that comfortable position. And now the feet don't have to be as close to the body as possible. We can take them a little bit further out. We want to make sure the hips and the knees are okay here. You can gently clasp the hands onto the feet, but we don't want to use the arms to yank ourselves forward. They're just there kind of as an anchor. So this may be enough of a stretch and you can stay here. If you'd like to go a little bit further, we can inhale, lengthen through the crown, and then as you exhale, allow the heart to draw forward towards the toes. So just letting gravity do its work. So allowing the knees to weigh heavy down towards the earth, not forcing or pushing. And following that breath in through the nose. And following that breath out through the nose. With each inhale, maybe finding a little bit more length through the crown. With each exhale, maybe just sinking a little bit further towards the feet. Then as we inhale, floating up nice and slowly. Take the legs into an easy cross-seated position. And we'll find an easy twist. So sitting nice and tall, you might even find yourself on a folded up blanket again if you'd like. We're going to take the right hand and place it just behind the spine. Take the left hand and place it on the opposite knee. So we'll inhale, lengthen through the crown, and then as you exhale, look over that right shoulder. And we don't want to yank ourselves into a twist. We want to allow the upper back to do most of the twisting here. So allow that upper back to rotate ourselves over to the right side. Inhaling, we find length. Exhaling, we twist. As you inhale, float back to center, and we find the opposite side. So the left hand plants just behind the spine. Take that right hand, place it on the opposite knee. Inhale, we lift and lengthen, and then as you exhale, gently look over that left shoulder. Once more, allowing that upper back to do most of the twisting. And inhale floats us back to center. And then we'll take the legs out in front of the body. So lengthening those legs out, we can kind of wiggle them, maybe place the hands behind us just to kind of loosen the legs up a bit more. And we'll find our back body. So coming all the way down onto the backs, finding the elbows first. And then we can hug the knees into the chest when we get onto the back. So you can hug those knees in and then just rock them from side to side. You can make this nice and big, going from one shoulder to the other. You can keep the knees close or maybe a little bit wider. Whatever feels good in your body. And then keeping the right knee hugged in, lengthen through that left leg and allow it to just hover over the earth. Flex both feet in towards the body. As you exhale, squeeze that right knee in a little bit more. And then as you inhale, we're going to exchange legs so that right leg lengthens. And then as you exhale, hug that left knee into the chest. Inhale, we exchange legs. Exhale, we squeeze the knee in nice and gently. So move with the breath from one leg to the other, maybe finding a little bit more length through each leg. And then we do that one more time. And now hug both knees back into the chest and take the legs to 90 degrees as if the feet are resting on a chair in front of you. The arms can come about 45 degrees away from the body, palms facing down. Allow the knees to gently come over to the right side of the body and land down. If the low back is speaking to you here, you can kind of scooch that right hip under. Allow the eyes to close and feel softness through that low back. Maybe taking that breath all the way down into the low back. And inhale, floats the legs back to neutral. And then we find the other side. So you might have to readjust the hips here first if you scooch the hip under, and then allow those knees to come over to the left. Let them land here. Let the legs soften. And breathe. As you inhale, draw those legs back to center, hugging into the chest one more time. And then we'll find our Shavasana. So you might take those legs nice and long. Feet can flop open to the sides. If this is too uncomfortable for the low back, bend up the legs. Allow the knees to touch. Palms can face open to the ceiling. Let the eyes remain closed. And just absorb the benefits of your practice. Remember, thoughts are not the enemy. You don't have to clear your mind of thoughts. Rather, you're developing the capacity to recognize when thoughts are happening without getting lost in the storyline. Each time you notice that you've drifted or noticed you've gotten lost, it's an opportunity to strengthen your muscle of remembering to gently come back into living presence. As you notice the mind getting quieter, you might sense the peace that arises when you relax even more and immerse your entire awareness into the inflow and outflow of the breath. Breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out. Be aware of the beginning and ending of each breath. Fully here, awake, at home, in presence. I'll bring you back. can begin to slowly wiggle your toes and your fingers, ankles and wrists, bringing back some small gentle movement to the body. Maybe rocking the head from side to side. And then bringing those bigger movements in, maybe stretching the body out nice and long, or hugging the knees into the chest one last time. Finding those gentle movements bringing us back to the room. And then eventually rolling to the right side of the body, maybe pausing for a moment. And then placing the left hand down onto the earth, slowly come all the way up to a seated position. You can remain with the hands in the lap, or maybe take the hands to the heart. And take a final moment to connect with the breath in the body. Thank you for taking the time to practice yoga today. Shanti, peace, namaste.